Nampala sector of the Ségou region. First of all, before I talk about this very huge offensive operation by the Malian Armed Forces, on the 7th of February 2026, the Malian Armed Forces launched another offensive in this region. And according to reports, it's already in the public domain, the Malian Armed Forces neutralized 30 JNIM terrorists in the Ségou region. Specifically, it wasn't in Nampala, but it was in the Ségou region. So they neutralized 30. And, if 30 jihadists have been eliminated in a certain place, you would think like they would not dare to come back. Because at the time, their operational capabilities that they were trying to assemble to form a base through which they will be coordinating their operation from, everything was destroyed. Because not only did the Malians neutralize 30, the Malians equally destroyed all capabilities. So it was a very, very productive decapitation strike by the Malian vectors. Now, that was on 7th. Today, another information came out from the Malian military sources, the FAMa, that again in the Nampala sector of the Ségou region, they said the name is Akoub and Toule. These are the village where this particular operation have currently been launched. So earlier today, there was an intelligence that got to the Malian military source that they noticed movement in this same place. Now, a lot of people just think that after operations have been launched, people just disembark and they go away. No, it doesn't happen that way. After every operation, there are some personnel installations in that region. So should in case anything happen, the response is going to be swift. So according to the information that we gathered, the Malian Armed Forces got the intelligence and they deployed their surveillance team to go and verify the authenticity of this particular information. Okay? So according to information, after the Malian Armed Forces, after they got to this particular region, and they were able to verify that truly this should I say unscrupulous elements were back, like they don't listen. So they came back again, and unfortunately, they divided themselves into two. So they were trying to create a sort of operational base again. I don't know why they are trying to build something like an operational base. The Malians launched a decapitation strike on them. And according to the information we receive, several dozens of these jihadists, they are already, under a stack of brown Malian dust. So the funny aspect of this operation is that recently in Kayes, the Malians have been pummeling these people to stone age. And now that they can no longer do anything reasonable in Kayes, now they are currently trying to do something in Ségou. So this was a successful operation by the Malians, and this is a show by the Malians. So let me be clear at this point. The Malians have been able to show that conventional warfare sometimes can beat asymmetric warfare, because the sole aim of the asymmetric warfare is to equalize. Is the asymmetric warfare pattern is a big equalizer to the conventional warfare, because the conventional troops are coming with overwhelming personnel experience and overwhelming capabilities. They are coming with gun trucks, they are coming with APCs, they are coming with Humvees, sometimes they are coming with MRAP, they are coming with all sorts of capability. So the essence of the asymmetric warfare is to show the other party that is most of the time stronger, right? Thank you for the donation. Stronger than the terrorists. That look, you can have all the capabilities, but we can tell you that with this guerrilla attack and this asymmetric assault, we will be able to reduce your capabilities to nothing. And the asymmetric warfare is not used for a one-time onslaught. It's a gradual process that demilitarize and reduce the enemy capability. But what the Malians have shown now is that enormous level of technology can actually send asymmetric warfare to Stone Age. Because what we are seeing is that every fight on the ground is coordinated. Okay? Every fight on the ground is coordinated. Every combat movement is monitored. There is a significant amount of destruction of the enemy capability, even though they are using asymmetric warfare. We saw that in Titao in Burkina Faso. We are going to get to that. I am loving the type of warfare that is going on in the Alliance of Sahel states, most especially the deployment of the area vectors. Now, when you look at the number of operational activities going on in the AES states in a day, I am beginning to have this feeling that the number of UAVs that are being deployed on the battlefield in the Alliance of Sahel states are becoming numerous. Like I'm talking about the number of destructive UAV capabilities in the AES now should be more than 20. Should be more than 20. So, and if you look at the reconquest, now in Mali, you have a different situation. Every territory in Mali is under control. Now, the place of the asymmetric warfare is that you can have some PR attack here and there, but as long as everywhere is under control and is data hotel, that's what we're talking about. So another group of jihadists have just joined the 30 that have been neutralized on the 7th. So let's hope that they won't try again, because, you know, who knows? Some of them might even try to repent. Some of them might have had the second thought of repenting. Maybe this was supposed to be the last, you know, the last outing. You know, it was my last outing. I just want to try my luck. If I'm able to return back alive, I won't do this no more. But man, man, that repentance will go and go and repent somewhere else. So now we have some very, very, very beautiful information today now. From the military operation that have been going on recently in the AES, and from the close surveillance and monitoring, both that they've been able to establish during the kinetic contact and sometimes during the general surveillance operation within the AES territory, either by the unified AES force that is now 6,000 strong. Before it was 5,000, now is now 6,000. So basically what the Alliance of Sahel States Unified Force have been doing currently is cross-border monitoring. Because it has been discovered that recently, along the old borders, you know, the Alliance of Sahel States no longer have borders. They are the first in Africa to not have borders anymore. Before, you know, every other country in Africa still have colonial borders. So in the Alliance of Sahel States, the rules of engagement is different. So, but to the jihadists, the whole mentality of colonial border is still there. So, you know, there is a re-education in the Sahel that, look, there is no colonial border here anymore. But to the jihadists, there are still colonial borders. Because remember, this whole planning and operational build-up by the jihadists and their sponsors were installed during the colonial enabling regime, right? So the asymmetric personnel that were being employed have not still knocked out that stuff from their head. They've not forgotten that, look, we don't exist in the Stone Age anymore. This is the new era. So the job of the AES right now, the AES standby force, is these old colonial borders are being monitored. Because we discovered that most of the time, these jihadists still try to move within this region. They still believe that somehow, some way, you know, people are still going to feel like, oh, this person's territory, this person's territory. And a lot of decapitation strike have taken place along these borders. Even when they move in from neighboring countries, which we are going to get to now, they move through these borders and they attack the outskirts. They attack from the outskirts of those villages that are closer to those neighboring countries. You know that recently some of them ran into Ivory Coast after the FORSATEC Oroya took out 28 on the spot. They ran into Ivory Coast. They were chased. I have never seen a situation where you have a rifle with you and you are running so much, you did not even look back to check if there is something. Why does the United States want Russia out in the AES? Fine. You know, if you look at the current, let's say, if you look at the current geopolitics right now, the empire is dying and the empire is falling. And, you know, one of the biggest defeat for the empire right now is that the currency, the global hegemonic currency of the empire is falling right now. The dollar is no longer, you see, a lot of people thought that US is just US. US is the dollar. The entire US capability is the dollar. So if the dollar is knocked off the cliff, the fight is over. Because the dollar is the globally most acceptable currency, means that they can continue to print and launch wars after wars after wars and, you know, fund anything they want to fund, making them singularly the most dangerous country on the planet. I don't know if anybody understands this. The dollar is the main capability of the US. It's not no USS Gerald Ford or USS Abraham Lincoln. No. It's not a nuclear weapon. The most destructive capability is the dollar. That was why Donald Trump said, if the US dollar is being reduced to nothing by the multipolar world that is trying to stand, you can see that there have been several wars against the multipolar, branch. Venezuela, now Iran. I hope China and Russia stands with Iran because, the empire does not forget the ones that stands up against her. The empire will never forget. So gradually, they're already keeping Russia busy. To them, they are keeping Russia busy with Ukraine. And to be honest with you, if Ukrainians like, they should continue to pick people from the streets. It will come to a point, because according to the information we are hearing now, they've now streamlined the criteria for picking. Now they are not going to be picking the children of some people that thought they were even important. Now they will now be conscripting them to go and kiss the golden canvas in Russia, the icy canvas. So they will continue to sustain that fight, because not fighting these people only means that the dollar hegemony will continue to suffer some knockdown, enormous knockdown. And China is there. That is the big bad beast they want to fight last. Now, where does the AES come in? When you look at the strategic resources of the AES, when we're talking about gold, you're talking about phosphate, you're talking about uranium, you're talking about zinc, you're talking about manganese, you're talking about some huge level of antimony. Now, this is not just the AES. You have Central African Republic, who is another uranium power in Africa. So when you look at this country, when you hear that France said they are coming back to do this, no, it's not just France. It's the old order, the one they call the rule-based order. So the rule-based order means that if I don't like him, you all must not like him. Thank you very much. We'll get to the vultures that are gathering around the Sahel, because vultures are gathering. And I hope the Sahel are watching. Okay? We are going to get there. So what we discovered is that still the dollar continued to crash. Even today, the dollar has crashed. So the thing is, when any empire is about to fall, what happens? And it's not like they are going to fall and fall out of the way. No, they are still going to be somewhere among the top, but they are going to be reduced to the point where they won't have that power of impunity to wage war without being questioned, or it will not be going the way it's going before. Now, before any empire falls, there is always a face, and that face is the face that shows you that this empire is about to crash out. That is the phase where the empire continued to go on multiple military adventure, to the point where it is no longer reasonable to the other people that how come you are financing this, because financially nobody should have the capability to do this. Then everybody begin to understand that your currency is a threat. Now, this stage is a stage where the empire will begin to grapple with that fall. Even the law of gravity will begin to learn from this particular fall we are talking about. Now, you will not, so for the empire to maintain, because for the people that are blind, that does not see that fall, so the empire knows this, that some people does not see this fall. They don't see it. They can't see it. Tell them that it's day. They will tell you it's night. They can't see it. They love to be under the empire. They will, and some of them will come out in public media and they will tell lies to you. But it is for you to check what they are doing behind the scene. Like South Africa yesterday, I showed you the comment of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Then I showed you the next video so that you can understand. So for the people that watched the video of yesterday, so that you can understand that some of these people, they are overtly coming out to say, we want to be under the hegemon. And some are coming out to tell lies, but still, what they are doing behind the scene is very, very diabolic. Now, let's go. So once the currency crash, because it gets to a time the empire can no longer sustain herself and sustain a military adventure and all of that. And one thing you know is that there will be political lack of freedom within the state of the empire. I don't know if some US citizens are here. You will find out that there is no political freedom. The political freedom of speech or whatsoever within the circumference of the empire will be repressed. People will be imposed on people. And the next thing that will happen at that point is that there will be chaos. People will be tired. And the next thing, people will not trust the empire anymore. People will start selling their bonds. People will start doing a lot of things. Investors will be leaving. The empire, part of the empire trying to grapple its way back to the hegemony will be to oppress and try to intimidate a lot of people. Then it's at that point that the empire will crash. So, and Africa knows this. The African leaders, they know this. They know that they are about to crash out. They know, and they are saying it. But some of them are still scared because the empire, don't forget, even if the empire is falling, the empire still has an enormous level of capability based on foreign assets to still take out some of these leaders. Now, the problem that some of these leaders have, let me explain to everybody here, is their own citizen. Some of these leaders look at their citizen and they look at the people that are threatening them and they ask themselves a simple question. Should I go with my citizen or should I go with the empire? Now, some of them come to the realization that if I go with my citizen, meaning that we will have to go through a certain period of struggle. There is no way you choose homeland. You and your citizen will go through some grappling level of economic bastard, like they will make sure that your economy looks terrible. Now it takes a higher level of consciousness and solidarity and loyalty for your citizens to say, we understand where this is coming from and we are going to stand 10 toes. We are going to go through the fire so that we can get out of this fire and get to the mainland. It takes a high, but the people that have been selected knows that their citizens don't understand this. Look at what happened in Iran. There was a dollar shortage, something that was politically weaponized. But Scott Bessent came out and said it, that they made sure that there was dollar shortage. If Russia did not come to the rescue of Iran, right, by giving them over $2 billion of bailout to push dollar into the system, the Iranian population already crashed out. So that is to tell you why some leaders, they look at their citizens and they look at the imperialists and they be like, I think it's better for me to go with the imperialists. I am giving you people game now. That is why some leaders look at their citizens and they look at the imperialists and they be like, oh man, I rather go with the imperialists. Because no matter what, when you stand your ground and you say, I am going with my citizen, you are going to face all. See, every kitchen sink and stones in the textbook is going to be thrown at you. And that is what is going on in the Alliance of Sahel. Now, let me tell you this. The reason why the Alliance of Sahel states are able to get out of this is because the citizens went through so much. See, everything that is supposed to be thrown at them has been thrown at them before the revolution came. It was the struggle that led to the revolution. You can't just be a revolutionary and just stand up, and people are still enjoying the imperial tool of manipulation, and you just tell them you want to revolutionize everything. They are going to break you. But when the people experience so much economic danger to the point where they feel like, man, we had better go into. Look at what happened in Benin, in Niger Republic. The people of Niger jumped the fence, even though military personnel were there. See, that is when people have been to the lowest low, and they tell you that there's nothing you can do at this point. We've been through the worst, but we cannot get weak. Nothing you can do can break us at this point again. So when a revolutionary individual pick up the pace and the initiative at that point, there will be success. They've tried to manipulate the people of the Sahel, and they've discovered that these people, now what did they do? They employed some, in-house Negroes among the people of the Sahel, some of which are in diaspora. Probably those ones are looking at it that, man, I'm not about to live this diaspora life I'm living. Okay? They now employ some of them to manipulate their citizens. Now, the ones on the ground are saying, man, we know you, but when it comes to this manipulation, we don't know you. And that is what I call anybody can be a nobody. So at that point, they brought in the terrorism tool. So this is a long process. But the Alliance of Sahel States, they are on the right course, and we can see it. Now, you see this moment we are in history. We are not in a flux. Don't let Julius Madabio lie to you. We are in a time, what I call the Great Reset. It happens, I don't know how many years, but it has happened probably 3 times. When an empire is about to fall, before the rise of another empire, there are some people that takes the opportunity to stamp their authority on their sovereignty. Because by the time this empire crash out, there are some people that will remain under that slavery continuously for a long time. The empire knows it's about to fall. That is why you are seeing that some empire are trying to buy the indigenous land of some people. They are trying to buy the indigenous land of some certain, misguided people. The people that are governing them. They are trying to buy that land because they know, man, we can't stand this for a long time. We need somewhere where we can. And don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. What they don't look, that thing they are trying to dodge for is already confronting them right to their very nose. And it's at that point that they will know that, man, we took the wrong decision. So when that empire falls, those who stood their ground, the AES is in a war. They are not in a terrorism conflict. Don't let anybody bastardize you with that lie that they are grappling with terrorism. They are grappling with war. And that will take us to one of the news of today. But before we get there, they are in a war. And in a war, they are allies. Some of your allies can even be bought. Like you see in Russia and Ukraine war, there are some people that will be fighting on the Russian side, but they will be bought. They will deflect to the Ukrainian side. There are some people that are Russian citizens that will be paid that will betray because they don't have the right initiative. Okay? Because if your people fall, the people that defeat your people are still going to look at you. You are the same. They know that you still carry the gene. They're never going to trust you. So now, according to information given by intelligence sources, they said majority of the jihadists attacking the Sahel are from neighboring states. Number one. Now, what they are saying here, according to analysis of this information, is that they don't reside inside the AES. No. And when you look at the military operation and the counter-terrorism operation of the AES, when you look at the level of bombardment and aerial capability, because the Alliance of Sahel, the way they are building up their military capability is they are building it towards addressing the asymmetric warfare. A lot of people are saying that the Alliance of Sahel state need F-30, they need Sukhoi 35, Sukhoi 58, 57 and all of that. But I'm telling you, they don't need those things. Number one, those aircraft capabilities, they make noise. Okay? They might have the stealth capability, but not like that. Okay? Now they can do the air to air, air to ground. They can do a lot for you, but if you are not fighting another conventional enemy that has that level of capability, then there is no need for it. You need it for strategic defense, not to wage a war against terrorists. Because by the time you shoot one of those missiles, you know how much it is. And in this type of warfare, this is attritional warfare. You fight at war of attrition with people you don't really value like that. That is why you see that in the Russia-Ukraine war, they are employing people from different places to come and lay down their life on the line of contact. Because the ambition is to make sure you reduce the enemy capability. I'm talking about personnel capability and equipment capability. You want to make the war, you want to make it difficult for the enemy to continue the war. So financially, you have to make it costly. You have to make the enemy start double doubting themselves that, man, do I want to continue this war? So that is why they are using drones. The drones can stay longer in the sky. The drones, when they shoot those TNTs are cheaper than the TNTs that will come out from an F-35. Now, the drones, right? The Aksongo drone can stay in the sky for over 50 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, if you put an F-35 in the sky for over 50 hours, do you know what is going to happen? You buy an F-35. It can be knocked down. I'm sorry. Now, even if you have the F-35, then the personnel capability and the competence of the personnel now come into place. Right? But with the drones, you have more options, longer surveillance, which you need, okay? You need longer surveillance when you are going against an asymmetric, forces, because you want to stay longer because they attack you when you least expect. So you have to keep those eyes in the sky. And we notice this thing when the troops of the AES are fighting the ground forces. There is precise instruction. There is precise coverage that is being given to them. Don't worry about the agents, right? They are only being peppered because of the game we give over here. Okay? Now, according to information, Benin Republic, okay? Ivory Coast is another country. And a lot of you have seen in the video that was released recently, you saw how the terrorists were behaving once they entered the Ivorian territory. And if you listen to the information from the video, the Burkinabe FORSATEC did not want to engage the jihadists. Okay? The Burkinabe FORSATEC, thank you so much for joining the membership. The Burkinabe FORSATEC did not want to engage the jihadists. They said because they don't want any hits on the Ivorian military position. Families, I want you to get that message very well. When the terrorists entered the Ivorian territory, that was when they looked back, that what is after us. The elimination was so bad to the point that they started running. Just get to the finish line first. they were not trying to engage. See, the FORSATEC unit is a different kettle of fish entirely. Those guys, their location is not precise. You can find them here today, you can find them there tomorrow. They deploy them to the most dangerous theater of operation, and it's being led by no other person than Watao, right? So when I heard that the terrorists were running without looking back, I just knew that, man, who are the FORSATEC? Who else would do it? Now, when they entered the Ivorian territory, that was when they started looking back. And look at the body language. They started gisting. We are home. That's what it means. Being in the Ivorian territory to them is like they are at home. The jihadists, their weapons were facing, like they were gisting. We are home, buddy. Like, so one of them now faced back and started shooting. You know that situation when somebody gives you a very heavy slap, right? And your big brothers now come in and after you just play yourself. Not like you are really like that, but because your brothers are here, right? Imagine the Ivorian troops were there. The terrorists were there. This means a lot. Now, you can't blame the troops. The troops are following orders. Then where is that orders coming from? So who is conniving with who to use the terrorists to fight against the AES? Like I said, a lot will be discovered as we continue to go in this war. Now, and this only means one thing. This only means one thing. Most of the terrorists that are being gunned down on the line of contact, it means that some of them are from these neighboring states. Look, the jihadists, when everything gets tough, they start preaching to your locals. They start preaching to the ill-minded locals. Probably they will preach to the most vulnerable ones. They will tell them this is how much we gain in a mission. And those ones will join. And they won't come back home. Because you entertain them in your territory. You can't stop them from preaching this jihad and all of that. From Sharia, they tell you have to take Sharia, your 72 virgins and all of that. When they are preaching this thing, you see the smile on their face. I have had one person preach this nonsense to me before. So now, another country that have been mentioned. Now, let me tell you something. The deployment of this neighboring state that have been mentioned, when you look at the way the terrorists extravasate from their territory, then you will understand, okay? They mentioned Ivory Coast. You know, the ones that were chased by the Burkinabe Armed Forces, they ran into Ivory Coast, right? Nigeria was mentioned, okay? And according to Intel, they said the Nigerian Boko Haram, the ISWAP, and the Lakurawa, they are from regions of Katsina, Kelbi, Maduguri, and they mentioned one other state. They said they move from this place. They move into Niger Republic. And sometimes they can cut the borders into Burkina Faso. But most of the time, we've seen them operate in Niger Republic, and most of them have actually been handed their 72 virgins. The next country they mentioned is Chad. Now we are seeing Chad recently. Okay? We are seeing, thank you for the donation. We are seeing Chad recently. After the president of Chad, Itno, paid a visit to Emmanuel Macron at the Elysee, then we saw the MPLJ. And immediately they were routed. They were routed because the intelligence already got to the Nigerians that they were coming. Like I said, when the AES puts that satellite on the sky, the enemies will think that they were caused from hell. If there is even anything like hell, right? They will think that they were caused from hell itself. So now, another country they mentioned is Mauritania. You see that one? Nobody can argue that one with me. A country with a population of less than 3 million. Big territory. So according to information, the terrorists that are disturbing Mali, they majorly come from Mauritania. Now, that is, you can see that the asymmetric troops are coming from these states. Now, let's look at the military buildup that have been happening in these states recently. Look at Benin. The French troops are there. The Ukrainian troops are there. In the northern territory. Why are they in that northern territory? And the JNIM are there. That's 4. Belgium, Ukraine, France, JNIM. So JNIM now is now officially a military component of these people, right? So in northern Benin, you know, you have them in Ivory Coast too. Now you in Nigeria, in fact, that one is a coalition. That one is in northern Nigeria. That one is a coalition. That one is coalition of the willing. In northern Nigeria, what you have is no longer terrorists. What you have in northern Nigeria is coalition of the willing. Now, let me give you the information of something that just happened in northern Nigeria. And previously, Algeria. That was the information they gave. They said previously, Algeria. But recently, nothing kinetic have been coming from the borders of Algeria. Probably, maybe the agreement with, maybe the dialogue with the AES recently has kind of, you know, caused some, hey, everybody ceasefire, you know. But the people down south, they are not getting the result they want to get. So, hence, they continue to launch different type of operation. Now, you see, now, according to the information we are getting via Nigerian stories, okay, this is a mainstream media. They said another 100 US troops, another, you know, US deployed 200 troops to Nigeria. Another 100 US troops have been deployed to Bauchi Air Base in Nigeria. Another 100 have been deployed to the Bauchi Air Base in Nigeria, making 300. Now, I will tell you something. Based on publicity, the Middle Belt region of Nigeria is the most kinetic that we've seen. So if they really want some fights, I think they should be trying to conquer the entire jihadist network in the Middle Belt. But they are getting closer to the north because the north is closer to Niger. Look, I won't deceive you, okay? The north is closer to Niger. That's why they are getting closer to the north. You said you want to have a drone refueling base. So families, when you put 300 boots on the ground, you said they are going to be in charge of instruction. 300 boots on the ground is going to be in charge of instruction. 300. According to the information that we had from security analysts, they landed in the Ghanaian Kotoka air base. Then they moved from there to Nigeria. Now, you see the problem with Nigerian citizens? They don't understand. Somebody posted a video on our Telegram channel today. This is just a diversion, I'm sorry. And there was a Nigerian man that was talking about the US deployment to Nigeria and the US sanctions against certain terrorist sponsors in Nigeria. Now, this is where you will know that this is a very, very deep plot from the US. Honestly, when I look at the intelligence level of some, you see, I don't know. I don't know, but let me just break something out. We all don't think with the same wavelength. Our thinking is faster than each other, and I'm very, very disappointed when I look at the way some Nigerians think. And it's not because they are tribalistic or they are sentimental. Some of these people are not just intelligent like that. This guy said they should type in the comment section, "God bless the United States." That's what he said. He said they should type in the comment section, "God bless United States." Now, he said the United States have sanctioned some people. He mentioned the name of Khalid Abanawi. Khalid Abanawi is the younger brother of Yusuf Abanawi that was arrested in Niger. He's not smart. So how does the US come around and say that they want to sanction someone that have already been arrested? Nigerians are just falling for this kabuki theater and propaganda on the internet. How can you come and you say you want to freeze the assets of someone that is already under detention in probably one of the most brutal prisons on the planet, right? Then two, they said they are going to sanction and put and freeze the asset of Abubakar Shekau. Abubakar Shekau that was eliminated by Yusuf Abanawi. I don't understand. Abubakar Shekau is the previous leader of Boko Haram that was eliminated during the exchange between ISWAP and Boko Haram. This is something that is over 7 years now. This name. So the US came, and now what did they say? They said these people live in Maiduguri. Come on, for heaven's sake. Now they are using Maiduguri as the excuse because they know that most Nigerians don't even know what happens in Maiduguri. They don't know who wants to go there. Who wants to go to Maiduguri, or you want to go to Borno State to go and ask people that who lives here, who is this person? They know that most Nigerians don't know anything about that place because of how kinetic it is. That is almost like an Islamic caliphate on its own. So they said these people, they are sanctioned and live there. Can you imagine? Imagine the lies of the devil. But a Nigerian that is not informed will be jubilating. Oh, they've sanctioned. Because the US, they are mentioning names. And according to him, he said he doesn't have the pictures. He doesn't know these people. And he was lying alongside. Like you've heard, most of you, that some Nigerians believe that they are deputy Westerners, right? You've heard even some celebrities say that Nigerians are the white people of Africa. They will tell any amount of lie to defend that lie that, the US intelligence agency, put out there. They will lie to any level to defend them. That failed bombing mission by the US in Mandarama, beware, in Nigeria, that US failed bombing mission, you have some of them defending it. That, more bombs are still coming. When I look at this, when I invited Mackay of the Spearhead to the house, Mackay said that there will never be a revolution in Nigeria. That's the thing. You have few smart Nigerians around, but you have many that are you have many, and that's why you have everything going down. Revolution in Nigeria. You want to do revolution for deputy Westerners. They're going to get you yourself. They are going to submit you to the Americans. This is fact. They want to be like Jay-Z. They want to be like Kanye West. They want to be like the Americans. Give a typical one of them money. I was ashamed when I was on TikTok the other time and I saw one of them duping a black woman in US. They don't understand what revolution. They don't know what Pan-African is. Pan-Africanism is. Some of them just want to, their lifelong dream is to travel to the US or travel to UK. It's not really giant like people call it. So that is a lie. If the US is telling you that they are freezing the asset of some terrorist sponsor and they are mentioning some names, that's a big lie. It took me 0 seconds. Once I started hearing those names, I was like, man, this is another lie. And they're telling these lies to Nigerians because they know that these people are not really smart like that. They're just smart. That's where you have Bill Gates coming and saying that the population of Nigeria is a national security threat. You've heard it from Toon Toon. Say that the population of Nigeria is a national security threat because you cannot have too many people. You cannot have too many people thinking like that. It's dangerous. And the ones that are smart, they are being taken away very quickly. Either for their lives, they travel out, or they leave the country for whatever reason. So you have a steel wreck of so another information that we have is that I've talked about that, the conventional drone, the conventional warfare beating the asymmetric warfare in the Sahel. We've talked about that. Now, the president of Algeria, President Abdulmajid Tebboune, has now said, and I'm reporting this is not me propping him up, this is me just telling you what he said. He said that Algeria will work tirelessly for the regional security of the sub-Saharan region. According to President Abdulmajid, they are ready to go to the trenches. When I heard this statement, it was funny to me that they are ready to defend the interests of Niger. They are ready to go to the trenches, that the Nigerians are their brothers, and they will go to the trenches with the Nigerians. And the interest of the Nigerians is their interest. When I was hearing all this, I was like, come on now. Why are you crashing out already? Like, come on now, don't do this. Don't pledge like this, because we know that this pledge is coming from a place of, okay, you are happy you got the deal. Now, I love the length of the mining cooperation that he got. It's going to start this year. It's going to end in 2028. 50 billion CFA franc. That is cool. For the Nigerians, I think this investment is huge, and there is going to be transfer of technology according to information. There's going to be training. They are going to perform the operations together, so there's going to be good transfer of capabilities when it comes to technology and every other thing like that. Now, I do feel like this is even better. It's better because it's Africa. It's Africa sharing resources in a beneficial way, in a win-win way, with other people in the African continent, in my opinion. It's better than sharing your resources with people that will probably recover all the money they invest in your resources from people trying to go to their country through visa. Do you understand? The amount of money that Nigerians alone spend on getting visa to leave Nigeria in a year is greater than whatever these people spend on resources. Now, the US deployment to Nigeria recently, this current additional 100, it means two things. They are killing two birds with one stone. Probably, I'm thinking part of their aim is to deploy enough military capability to intimidate the Chinese firms in Nigeria. A lot of people don't get this game. This is a big geopolitical game being played before our very eyes. I know they are not going to be able to enter the Sahel because they are not agreed. There's no agreement to have them around in the AES. So if you talk about now, I do have a thing. If the United States can prove themselves in Nigeria, either by telling the jihadists to cease fire or whatever, if they can prove themselves in Nigeria by probably helping the Nigerians to decapitate all the jihadists, which is impossible. Even the coalition, the global coalition of the whole world, the coalition of the world, the coalition, let them send troops from all the continent of the world. As far as the population of Nigeria is to me, is over 300 million. Because of the way some people even give birth to children indiscriminately, I'm telling you, this demography in Nigeria is unbelievable. On paper, some are telling you 230, some are telling you 270. But based on what the last time they checked, there is no normal population census in Nigeria. But I can guarantee you, the population of Nigeria is over 300 million. That is why you see that some of the politicians are not even bothered about maybe, jihadists killed 200. They will be like, oh, man, we're not even close to 1 million. If the Nigerians understand the plan that is in place for them, they will know that it is time for them to start saying no. But even some of these people see that population as a problem that's, this is a big problem for our interests. Because the more these people are, So 100 plus 200. So I feel like the big aim is to establish a base through which they will be able to monitor what goes on in the Sahel. I don't know, but when you scramble a reconnaissance jet to the sky, depending on the altitude you are going to go, I think there is going to be a significant highs on anything going on in Niger. If it comes to reconnaissance, they will have proper highs on whatever is going on in Niger. So if that air base, let me say that military base, because if you have 300, troops somewhere, you started with 200, now you are going to 300. You are trying to build a military base. Don't deceive anybody. That's not a drone refueling center. You don't put 300 personnel in a drone refueling center. And the number of cargo aircraft that have landed in Nigeria is telling you that a base is in sight. Now, why the US need a base in Nigeria is very clear. People can see it, even if different geopolitical analysts will try to argue their way around it. So, I said something today that if the AES people can hear me, probably they might need to bring in their allies too. I'm going to post a video on my Telegram right now because I have seen in Syria that the allies of the AES have the capability to stop these people in their track. I have seen videos. I have seen combat footage. The allies of the Alliance of Sahel States have the capability and the mentality to stop these people in their track. You need a very mad person to deal with a mad person. So I don't know, but in my opinion, this is looking to me like a build-up. They have an air base in Ghana. Now they have a military base in Nigeria. Only if people understand what 300 personnel can do when it comes to training, when it comes to operational control, when it comes to command control, 300 is a dangerous capability, depending on the personnel that are on ground and what their specialization is. You have sometimes you have less than 20 special forces training a whole battalion of jihadists. So if you now have 300 personnel, I don't know. So we will continue to monitor and see if this is going to turn into some victory for Nigeria on the line of contact. We'll continue to monitor. But for me, the more they continue to come in, the more the jihadists continue to launch different operations against citizens of Nigeria. But this is the time that Nigeria needs to say no. Now, what have I noticed? I noticed that the empire have discovered that Nigeria is shifting. Nigeria is already a partner of the BRICS. It's a partner country of the BRICS. Now imagine the entire fund of these over 300 million people shifting to the BRIC alliance. That is a big slap. That is a big punch to the empire. The influence is dying. Imagine wiping out your influence on over 300 million people. Right? So I think this is more reason why Nigerians need to understand their place. They need to know who they are. Nigerians need to understand that the imperialists are seeing them as an existential threat. I'm telling you, it's not your fault that you are a Nigerian, but the hegemon is looking at that your population and looking at your level of intelligence as an existential threat, and they cannot allow you to just continue like that. So part of the project is to take out a significant amount of that population. There is a lot, thank you very much. There's a lot of objective in place. And gradually, it looks as if they are making headway to a certain extent. And because the alliance of Sahel states is, everything that is going on in the AES is a threat to the localities, to their selected candidates that call themselves presidents of whatever country they say they are. The AES is a threat to these people. When the AES commission any projects, it's a threat. You see what is going on in the Ouagadougou Bubu Dilasso project, that road construction project, you see the number of days, the timing is a threat. So because other African countries are looking at what the AES is doing, even if some of them are pretending, I can guarantee you that they are looking at it. And they will be saying in their mind, if these people can do this, we might be able to do it. Even if they don't believe, because some of those people, they are non-believers. So, but they are looking at it and they are saying, okay, if the AES can do it, we can do it. But they are too scared because they are already an asset. They've been bought. There's nothing they can do. They don't call the shot. They are just president. They don't call the shot. The orders are given right from their headquarters. But we will see. So the hope of Africa right now, any well-meaning Africa, their hope is in the alliance of Sahel State as we speak. And that is why the alliance of Sahel State, together with some local localities, and the alliance of Sahel State is facing the highest amount of pressure right now. So the AES is in a war. And when you look at this type of war that is going on in the AES, this pattern is not so different from the pattern that was used during the colonial period. There were Africans that sold Africans. There were Africans that connived. There were Africans that sold their people for mirror. They sold their people just to get a mirror. So, and when you look at some Africans that are conniving today, it's just like a playback. But when you have a people that have decided that they will not be compromised and they will not relent, freedom is on side. And that is why we say at this point that the Black Winter that was talked about is here. The Black Winter is not something that is going. The Black Winter is here. Because now let's go to what happened in Burkina Faso on the 14th of this month. The terrorist invasion of Titao. Now, the terrorist attack in Titao did not happen in Titao because that was the plan. No. The terrorist mobilization was taking place in a different place. And the numbers was unbelievable. I'm talking about numbers in the north of 1,000. Go and listen to the audio. The numbers was in the north of 1,000. Ladies and gentlemen, where are they getting these people from? 1,000. But the truth is, either we like it or not, either some people choose to speak against this or not, a certain group of people are getting wiped out gradually and they don't know. They might think they are supporting the imperialists or whatsoever. They are getting, and look, the male population is getting wiped out at God's speed. Because if you watch the video, they were bombarded where they were mobilizing. Their capabilities were wiped out. And because they were being bombarded, there was a decapitation strike on their mobilization ground. They moved. Now, when they moved, the next place they will move to is Titao. Now, the build-up was probably to invade Titao. Their ambition was three things: attack the military base. The second group, that was why they were in the number of 1,000, because they divided themselves into three groups. The initial group was to attack the Rapid Intervention Brigade camp in Titao. Because every city that Burkina Faso liberates, there is always a Rapid Intervention Brigade there. And I'm recently hearing that they now have BIR 30. If Burkina Faso have Rapid Intervention Brigade 30 confirmed, it means that they've liberated, and I'm hearing 600 communities have been liberated. You don't liberate this number of communities if you are playing. Okay? So they wanted to attack the communication links, destroying mass, destroying anything that can, bring a sort of communication. Then the next thing they wanted to do was to go to the market. Now, the group that was supposed to go to the market were supposed to equally attack the clinics. What do they need from the clinic? According to information, they needed supplies, medical supplies from the clinic. Like I said earlier, some of these people escaped with bullet wounds. But because of the level of opiates, the narcotics that they've swallowed, some of them can't feel pain. They can only feel pressure. Boom. They know something is in, but they can't feel pain, the mortal pain, that sensitivity to receive that mental programming that no, something bad has happened. They can't feel it. They will escape like that. And these people don't even bait. How can you be in the bush for more than a month? Where are they going to bait? When the birds are chirping in the sky. So what we found out was that they tried to attack the clinic for medical supplies. So the group that tried to attack the clinic for medical supplies were destroyed completely. The ones that went to the markets, okay, they tried to do a PR. Now, it's the one that went to the markets that attacked the Ghanaians that came to sell things. And after they left the market, what happened? Another decapitation strike. The ones that had the worst experience were the ones that were coming to the BIR, to the rapid intervention. Now, what they did not realize was that there were is not one, there were multiple birds in the sky as at the time they were coming in, because don't forget, they've been hit from somewhere. So there was constant surveillance. So the intelligence have already gone to the BIR that prepare, those people are coming. Now, the reason why majority of that number was not being wiped out before they got in was that if they hit them, there was some, there is a probability. That there is a probability does not mean that's what will happen. There is a probability that they might probably destroy, the civilians could be collaterals because houses were close to that region. So they allowed them to get close to the BIR camp. Now, under serious fire from the air, they could not enter the BIR camp. Why? Because number one thing, there were huge trench surrounding the Rapid Intervention Brigade camp. So some of them tried to circle around that Rapid Intervention Brigade. Fam, you are not fighting the VDP here. Fighting the Rapid Intervention Brigade is a different kettle of pineapple. You are not fighting the VDP. If you are fighting the VDP, probably you have a 60-40 chance. You are fighting the Rapid Intervention Brigade, your chance is limited because these guys are coming with the best loadouts. The VDPs can be caught unawares. Maybe they can be without bulletproof or something. The Rapid Intervention Brigade are coming with the best loadouts you can find. They are bulletproofed. They are covered from the, like, come on, the command is, the discipline is on a whole different level. They do everything perfectly. So if you get down the Rapid Intervention Brigade, then you've achieved one of the greatest things in your life. They destroyed them. Now, the drones that was in the sky monitoring the fight in the Rapid Intervention Brigade, I think the 26th Battalion, did not engage. That drone did not engage. You know, because they've been given a prior information that these people are coming, they were already prepared. And the thing about war is that if you are an asymmetric soldier or you are an asymmetric force and you are attacking a conventional force, you've already thrown your advantage away. Asymmetric force don't do well on the offensive. They do well when they get ambush. When they ambush with the IED or they are in defensive positions, then they have a chance. And they don't even have a chance in recent time with area bombardment and the rest. So when they try to attack the BIR camp, they were leveled. And because they were being neutralized massively, those were the bodies we posted on our Telegram channel and the ones you are seeing on social media. Those were the ones that attacked the Rapid Intervention Brigade camp. Now you can see that some of those bodies were dragged into the camp itself. It was after that they ran to the north. Now, going to the north, the road was Delta Hotel. No civilian building, nothing. That was where the bombardment started. So the guy that gave me the information that over 196 and counting have been reported, that guy did not lie. I looked at the numbers at first and I was like, well, is this possible? But when you look at the number of jihadists, these guys were like ants. So, according to the official report from the Burkinabe TV, they said the aerial personnel, they played with the jihadists with some bombardments. There was a particular place. They hit a certain unit. Those ones were gathered. I don't know what obstructed them. So they allowed them to amass themselves. Boom. And now, the primary strike destroyed a lot. Capabilities were gone. Now, I know a lot of people saw in the picture and in the video, you saw some bikes that were intact. Multiple deleted jihadists, their bikes were gone from the area bombardment. And now, the ricochet, like the tremor that was created by that primary hit destabilized some of them. There was another second hit. So they double tapped them, and the ones that were trying to run away, they circled them from the front again. Man, Titao is no longer is a no-go area for now. It's a no-go area. So for me, what I take away from the Titao operation is that I think the authorities of the Burkinabe, if you look at the developments going on in Nigeria, if you look at the fact that some of these jihadists, they found a home in the northern part of Benin Republic that the authorities of Benin have chosen to abandon, and the northern territory of Burkina Faso, where you have troops, where you have Ivorian, the northern territory of Ivory Coast, where you have troops of Ivory Coast, looking at jihadists, and jihadists are gisting. No exchange. What I think is that more beds need to come in. We need more beds in. And the kind of bed we need, we don't need, my opinion, I might be wrong, they don't need helicopters. They already have enough helicopters. If they want to get more, fine. What I think now is that they need all the type of drones they can get. And one thing I would advise is, if I saw some drones that could carry about 15 TNTs, those drones can be a game changer. Because, man, well, that's a story for another day. For me, I think they need more drone because of the stealth of the drone. I've seen operations where helicopters were coming and the jihadists already know because of the sound, and they were firing back. So what I feel is, and when you look at the Bayraktar Akinci, I think the Bayraktar Akinci is a better drone than the MQ Reaper. The United States deploys the MQ Reaper. We've seen the MQ Reaper in Nigeria fell to the ground without, what is the name of that place? It fell to the ground without any negotiation, nothing. It just fell. The missiles were there, everything was there. So I think they possibly need to bring in more Bayraktar Akinci, because the Bayraktar Akinci is a better game changer than the Aksongo. They need Aksongo for surveillance. Aksongo is more of a surveillance drone than an offensive drone. So I think they need to bring in more drone capability. I think this is the era of drone. And what does the drone do for you when you are dealing with asymmetric warfare? It gives you the advantage. This thing called air power, we've gotten to a time in Africa that you don't really need fighter jets like that. The more drones you have, and strategic defensive weapon can be a game changer for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I would like to bid everyone farewell. There's still more information, but I don't want to bug you. So, I see you when next. I see you probably tomorrow. And I'm going to miss you all, man. Thank you, and God bless you.